As long as there's been stories, there's been fanfiction, in a sense. People telling their own versions of classic tales, putting twists on them, and changing them as they saw fit. But fanfiction as we know it has really become prevalent over the last kind of 50 years or so, and yet there are still so many people who don't really understand it. As I've said before on this channel, fanfiction has kind of a dodgy reputation, and I honestly believe that this is just because of misinformation and the view of it as some kind of taboo. So I thought it would be fun to do a little series to kind of clear the air a bit and bridge the gap in fandom between people who love fanfic and people who think it's creepy and weird. I'll also be talking a fair bit about how to get into writing fanfiction and how to improve the fanfic you're currently writing, as well as how to cross over from writing fic to writing original fiction. Seeing as how I've already done a video talking about how much I love fanfiction, I won't repeat all that, and the link is down below if you want to check that out. Instead, I'm going to start out with a brief history of fanfiction in the modern sense. I'll leave the Shakespeare meta and Narnia interpretations to the experts. I'm talking about stories written using existing characters from a pre-established canon by fans of said pre-established canon, to express their own wishes for canon, interpretations of characters, and basically just extend their enjoyment of the original canon. And I just used the word canon about 6 times in one sentence. Get used to that. Now, the obvious starting point for talking about this is, of course, Star Trek. Star Trek fans pretty much birthed fanfic as we know it. I'm not saying that they were the only ones writing fic, but the Star Trek fandom is famous for its fanzines and newsletters and fan groups printing out their works and sharing them with each other way back in the 60s and 70s before the internet was really a thing. Obviously, I was not alive at that point, but I'm very grateful to my fandom ancestors for paving the way to internet-based fanfiction culture. I couldn't imagine actually being brave enough to print out my fanfiction and share it with other people I knew IRL. And doing that was really what helped establish transformative fandom as a way of expressing love for a thing. Transformative fandom being something that transforms the original canon to make it an expression of its fans, as opposed to curative fandom, which is about sticking rigidly to canon and hoarding facts and knowledge and debating the realistics of canon. I am not here to get into a debate about the two, but I am very much a transformative fandom kind of girl. Fanfic, fan art, headcanons, cosplay, I love them all. Then the internet happened and fanfic culture moved to specific sharing forums and the wider world of LiveJournal. Again, a wee bit before my time, but lots of those were around when I first started getting into fanfiction. Again, a lot of Star Trek, Star Wars, Stargate, you know, all the important stars. A lot of Buffy, and thanks to the younger generation, an ever-growing amount of Harry Potter. LiveJournal and forums really changed the way that fanfic was shared and created. Now, you could share your work with complete strangers. People online who loved the thing that you were writing about just as much as you did. People who could leave you comments and criticisms and share your work around from the other side of the world, without having to explain to your parents why you just printed out 30 pages of text on the family printer, and no, they can't read it. People could collaborate on ideas and start role-playing forums and finally start feeling a little less weird and covert about this expression of fandom. This is really when fanfiction got big enough that some beautiful genius decided to create an entire website devoted to it. And thus, fanfiction.net was born. Fanfiction.net is where I started reading and writing fanfiction, and where a lot of people I know started as well. You can find fanfiction separated by fandom, and then further categories like genre or main character or length, rating, etc., all to help you find the perfect fic. It's a great site. Back in 2007, when I started reading fanfiction, it was the most incredible place on the internet for me. And then I discovered AO3. Archive of Our Own, commonly known as AO3, is like fanfiction.net, but sleeker. I find it a lot smoother and easier to navigate and to post, and the formatting is much easier on the eyes. It's a wonderful, wonderful website, and it's where I now read pretty much all of my fanfiction. So when I talk about fanfiction, AO3 is the site and the formatting that I'll be referring to. I appreciate fanfiction.net for the start it gave me and for the history it has, but I will forever recommend AO3 for people getting into fic. There's also a lot of fic being shared on Tumblr, which is super awesome, but also kind of difficult to find unless it's tagged like super specifically. However, Tumblr is great for fic recs and master posts, compilations of a curator's favourite fics in a certain style or pairing or fandom. So there is that. Tons of other sites exist for fanfiction writing and sharing. The most obvious of which is Wattpad, which is kind of a combination of fanfiction and original fiction. Although the majority of it does seem to be One Direction fanfic, but whatever floats your boat. So that's where we're at now with fanfic. Long gone are the days of furtively sharing printed fanzines among your friend group, of handwriting out your fanfiction in a notebook that you hoped no one ever found. Fanfiction is easy to post, easy to share, easy to find, and yet still people view it as this weird, creepy, seedy thing that's just full of porn written by 12-year-olds. So hopefully over the next couple of months I will be able to open the doors a little bit to the wonderful world of fanfiction and help remove some of that taboo for you. Subscribe if you want to see that, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye! Hey guys, so a little while ago I went to see Harry Potter and the Cursed Child and I loved it. But it gave me so many feels that I couldn't possibly contain them, and thus I have come here.